Welcome everybody to the second class about arrays. So in the today class, we'll see a list of out-of-the-box operation. So it's part of the Java API that is ready to use on arrays. There is way more. I'm just showing here the most common ones. So help us to solve problems in array because it's kind of basic and common tasks. So is important to know because this will make it easy for us to deal with like any problem or manipulating arrays. So I put a breakpoint here and we will follow line by line and I will try to do a representation on, oh wait, this is not open, show. And I will do a follow-up here with kind of the visual demonstration of what is going on. So let's run this in debug mode. And we stop writing this line. So in this line, we'll create an array called array1 and already initialize with those values. So as soon as we see there is only the args here, that there is nothing yet. So the next line, we'll see the array1 that has a size 10 and all the elements here. So let me do a quick copy and paste here. So in the memory, we'll have a variable called array1, and that variable will be pointing to this, where is it? Shapes. This variable will point to this array. And in this case, we'll have, where is the brush here? We'll have those values there. That will be, let me just initialize the array. So it'll be 7, 1, 8, 9, 3, 0, 4, 2, 6, and 5. The next line, I'm gonna print it, so it's the function that the routine we already saw in the previous class, so we can see the array there. And this is the first very important warning. See, warning, array is a reference type, so be careful when you assign an array. I guess here should be better assign instead of sign, but fine. So that what we're doing here is create a new reference called array2 for an array of integer and give it the same value as array1. So in the memory, what will happen is a new variable will be created called array2. And this variable will be pointing to the same array that is already allocated in memory. That is very important to understand because it's a common mistake when you don't know about this, that you think here that you have two arrays, because when we use like primitive types and you do assignment, we make a copy. In this case, no. So just to prove that point, let's go over this line. And you see now that we have two variables, array1 and array2, and the content of both are the same. So to make sure, we'll print both of them. We can see both of them down here, and they have the same values. Now what we do is we'll get array2 at the index 0, and we will assign 100. So when we pass this line, we could see right away that both representation here got unrun is E100. It's easy to understand now because we can see that both reference are point to the same place. So that means what happened here is, regardless of which reference we are using, we are pointing to the same instance in memory. So it's like a class. We can have multiple references for the same object, and will be accessing the same object. So that is important to understand. Oh, come on. 100. First thing important to notice. And now we will print both arrays again, and you see that both arrays will be changed. Why there's two? Oh, there's a bug here. I should not put this. No, let me fix it. What we're doing now, we are getting array 1 and giving the value 7. So that means the second position, the first position. Oh, sorry, array 1, the first position, 0, receives 7. And then we can see like instead of 100 will be 7, and then we will print both arrays. So what I prove here is regardless of which reference, we are manipulating the same array in memory. So what do you do when we need to clone an array? We could create a new array of the same size and move all the elements. So there is many different ways to deal with this. However, Java already gives us a method called clone. So we can get the array 1. We are creating a new variable now, and you say, okay, please clone this array 1. So this cloning method, what it's going to do is we will get a new array. We will allocate this new array in the memory with the same values from the target array, the one that we call the method like clone. So it would be like, oh, sorry, it's not 100 anymore. No, it's, let me fix this as well, just in case for the next example. So the first element here is 7 now. That means the other array will be the same. 7, 1, 8, 9, 3, 0, 4, 2, 6, and 5. And a variable called cloned array will be somewhere in our code and pointing here. So let's do this. Okay. This variable here, a brush, will be pointing to this array. So now the next line, what you do is let's print array 1 and clone the array. We'll see the same values. However, they are coming from different instances now. So what I will do now is I will get cloned array, this one, and I will assign to the first position 500. And cloned array is right here. And now we can see that cloned array only had the first position changed. And we will print the same two arrays again just to see, see, the original array is 7, the cloned array is 500. So this is very important to learn. Otherwise, you can run into issues that you have no idea why it's happening. And there is other ways to operate an array. So there is this cop operation as well. And one important thing, this cloned method was calling direct to the array. This one is not from the array. We are using a class called array, and then I start method called cop of. And let's say, okay, I want to generate a new array that is a copy of this array. And then here we can tell how many elements we want to copy. So what is different from copy from the clone? Clone is always exactly the same array that we have, exactly clone. Copy of is a range. So we don't necessarily copy all the elements. We could copy part of it. And strangely, we could even copy more elements. So what happens is when we copy more elements than the array has, all the other elements will be filled by the default value. So in this case, it's an array of integers with 0. So what we're doing here is we are creating a new array based on this one, that is a copy from this one. And let's just close those guys here so we can see what is going on. we copy the array 1. Let's open it here. However, we add like 1, 2, 3, 5 elements at the end because our cop was with a size that is larger than the array. So it's just a detail because you can say, oh, but why you have a copy? Because there is some more flexibility than the clone. Sometime maybe you need like just part of the array. So I could copy only the first 5 elements. Or I could copy the entire array plus some more. Okay, and now I will print, and then we can see here, there is that array, that is a clone of array 1, plus with some extra positions. We can copy a range. Instead of copy the entire array, we can say, oh, I want to copy from the index 3 to index 7. So it will be like 0, 0, 1, 2, 3 to 7. So it will be from 9 to 2. And then I will copy that array. Now I have an array copy range, sorry. Array copy range gets not 9 to 4. So I copy from which array? Array 1, and was from 3 to 7. Oh, important thing here. The last is not the index. It's kind of like, it's a non-inclusive. So it's from 3 to 6. See, it's like 3, 4, 5, 6. Pay attention that the 2 was not there. So sometimes APIs, they do that. So if you read the documentation here, they should say that the last index is not inclusive. So if you pay attention to that there, the first one is inclusive, but the last one is not inclusive. So something to pay attention, because probably you can get one extra element or one less element, depending how you work on it. Okay? Let's go to the next. And sometimes it's easy to forget about that. I confess with you that it's very hard for someone to memorize all those, but you just remember, oh, when I'm gonna make a copy, let me pay attention to the documentation, what really does. Because I remember there is something about the index not being inclusive. So most of the logic to arrays, they use the range, and it's like the for loop. We say is smaller than the length, because we know the length is after the array. So just to follow that rule, the API does this way. And now there is a way to test if two arrays are equals. So we are like, create two arrays, and then we say arrays again equals. So in this case, they're gonna test if the content of the arrays are the same. In this case, say false. And now we're gonna clone the array and then check equals again. And as they are cloned, they're gonna have the same values. This is very cool as well. We have this array 1. Let me show array 1 here. See, 7, 1 is all messed. And then we can sort the array. So we use this arrays.sort, and this is going to get this array and put all elements in the ascending order. That is just showing some more details. Like the sort is going to use the compare to method of the elements of the array to put them in order. So we could sort an array of any class, because as long as we have the compare to. Of course, every object has a compare to because it comes from object. We can redefine it, and then we can, just by have our object, our class, a compare to method, we can sort an array. In this case, as the array of integer is going to be sorted. So now if we print, we can see that the array is sorted. Another method is like called fill. We can get an array and you can say, oh, I want to fill this array. You start from the index 3 to the index 7 with the value 0. So this is our cloned array. Where is it? Cloned array. We'll say from 3 to 7, I want to fill 0. But remember, usually array operation, the 2 index is not included. So let's just see here. We fill up from 3 to 6 because it's 7 minus 1, okay? All with 0. So when we're gonna decide which operation to use, when you need it. So you're gonna do an algorithm, or you are solving a problem, and you say, oh, now I need to fill those positions of the array with this value. So we just use that. remember that you don't necessarily need to use those operations. It is there, is ready, is going to save you time, but we should be able to, even knowing this, to build it. We could just loop through this position to this position and assign the value. So it's very important for us to know a little bit about what is already ready in the API, so we are more productive. We can be faster, and you can write solutions with less line of code, and then it'll be easier to understand. You need to test less, okay? And then there is another method here that I'm going to call that. Do you see that this is from arrays? We put arrays, to string, and then the array. So this will show us a string representation of our array. See here? It's similar to the one that we created. So let's print it so we can see the result here. It's just a string where they similar to one that we create, we have open and close brackets and every element separated by comma. There is an important call out here that is the toString was not from the array instance, was not from array one. We use arrays dot toString. Because if you call the toString from the array, the implementation is just to return the hash code in hexadecimal. So just to show that here, what I'm doing is the next line, I'm gonna show array1 dot toString. And then we see this crazy number here. So in every object in Java, there is a hash code that is used to store in a set within a hash table. And there is a number here. If we get that hash code, the hash code, that is the number that is there. So now I will print the hash code, that is the decimal value, and now I will convert to hexa. Just to show the point that the toString from the instance of the array return us this I, promise to say that is an integer, and add, and then this is the, that I just guess is there, but probably is, but, and this is the hexa representation of this number. So don't go crazy if you print an array and you use this toString and you see a number like this. And you're gonna see, oh, there is a P, but my array is of integer, because this is just like a hash representation, it's a hash code. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this. So my advice here is, next, go to these questions. With the knowledge that we learned in those two classes, you are able to make all those, you are able to solve all those questions. One important thing here, there is an operation called implement a routine, or a question say, implement a routine to clone an array of integers. So one thing here, we learn about a clone. So we could say, okay, this is silly. I can just call arrays.clone or array clone. But it's very common for situations like this that you are doing a code interview and the interviewer asks you, could you please implement a routine to clone an array? And you would say, oh, yes, there is a routine already. I said, okay, I know that there is a routine, but could you implement it yourself? So it's very common to be asked those questions because they want to see if you know how to do the basic implementation, if you really understand what the clone means and what are the steps that you need to do. So it's interesting because we have to be ready to know the APIs, so we are more product, but we should know how to implement what the APIs are doing as well. Because as a software engineer, as a programmer, and a software developer, we should know how to do when it's not there. So there is like plenty of questions here. Do in your time, but please try all of them. They are like in the ascending order of complexity. Sometimes they are like out of order, but they are like correlate. And I put together a list of questions that will help us understand some more important concepts in coding. And then this will help us later on to understand some interview questions. There is some hard question here from LeetCode and RackerRank as well. So there is some like it's not like a sea of rules. There is some time that need to be spent in here. There is some easy ones, but there is some harder one later on. So I really beg you to try to do all those questions. Wherever quest you have or roadblock, go to the video, put a comment in the put a comment there in the comment section, and I will address. I will ask your teacher or friend, but try it. Don't just watch a class and think that you're gonna absorb it. Go there, do your code, do your mistakes, and learn from them. Cool. Well, thank you, and see you next.